Hello and welcome to Medill Newsmakers. I'm Gabrielle Pfeiffer. So far, there have been 10 Chicagoans to announce their candidacy for the mayoral elections next year. We have Dorothy Brown, Rahm Emanuel, Jamal Green, Neil Sales Griffin, John Kozler, Troy LaRaviere, Lori Lightfoot, Gary McCarthy, Paul Vallis, and we have Willie Wilson. Jamal Green is just 22 years old. He's making history being the youngest candidate ever to run for Chicago mayor. Jamal is in the studio with me. Thanks for joining me, Jamal. Now, your age, I'm sure, is a topic on most people's minds. What really sparked your interest in becoming mayor?
Well, we needed somebody who's going to be a voice for the voiceless, for those who feel that they don't have one, right? Those people that are in neighborhoods that are in poverty, those people who are going to those schools that don't have resources or don't have funding, right? After school programs, clinical staff, in neighborhoods where you have a lack of mental health facilities. And when you don't, we continue seeing the same political people that get in office, that make those promises, but they get in and they really don't care about these communities because they've never really experienced those things. I'm running for mayor because I've experienced gun violence next to me. I've seen people being shot in front of me. I've been to those schools and not being challenged enough without the resources. I've housed homeless people at my grandmother's wishes, against my grandmother's wishes. I've seen those problems firsthand.
What does someone your age bring to the table versus somebody that does have experience?
Well, I'm not tainted by old politics, right? So I got a new way of thinking. I got refreshing ideas on how we should move forward these different systems that have been in place. The problem is we have a lot of politicians who have been in that old system. The cycle keep continuing. There's no new ideas. When they see things not working, they don't fix them. They just continue them on. I'm someone who's coming in to say, listen, these things aren't working, X, Y, and Z, and we need an ABC.
Coming up after Medill Newsmakers, people in Chicago have been using the hashtag #SameOldRahm on social media. We'll show you why, and Jamal will be back with us on his reactions. Stay tuned.
At Northwestern, we're wildcats in every way.
Why spend your entire life looking for some on-ramp to the road to opportunity when there's already a well-traveled path? So you may be wondering, what does that path look like? Is it paved with gold? Well, here's a hint. It's actually paved with purple. Northwestern University. Your road starts here.
The Chicago Teachers Union recently released an online ad in response to Mayor Emanuel's announcement to make free full-day preschool available to all Chicago 4-year-olds. Take a look at the ad.
So Rahm's hired another CPS CEO, his fifth one in 6 years. And his billionaire friends are spending a ton of money hoping we'll forget the damage they've done to our public schools. You remember him, don't you? The teacher strike guy, the ethics violator, the convict, and his former chief education advisor. And their biggest achievement? Closing 60-plus schools in black and brown neighborhoods. A new CEO, whatever, but a new mayor would be much better.
I reached out to the mayor, but he was not available for comment. Jamal, you've also been a critic of Mayor Emanuel, and one of those reasons is because of how he's handled education. One of the components of your platform is to have an elected board, and we know that Mayor Emanuel appoints his board. So tell me why you decided to have an elected board.
Let me first commend CTU. I just have to put that on the record. I think they're one of my favorite unions in the city of Chicago, and they're always fighting back, and they have been fighting back against this administration for several years now. And that online ad that they released today hit it right on the head, but it shows why we really need an elected school board. Rahm Emanuel does things when it's political season, right? So you have him we have a 4-year term, but 3 years he's just showing his face. And then the last year is when he wants to enact things like free preschool so that he can get back into office. We need someone who's going to have a long-term plan, that's going to be working every day while they're in office, not just riding a wave and only using the psychology that people only pay attention to the last thing that you do mentality, which Rahm Emanuel does. We need an elected school board in the city of Chicago. The city, the communities need representation. We need members that are representatives from these communities to be on this board to speak to problems that matter to them, right?
We know that as a Black Lives Matter activist, your relationship with the police wasn't the strongest. So what's your relationship like now with CPD?
Yeah, so, and Black Lives Matter, the term is, different. It's not the organization, of course, it's a movement. I've been a community activist, right? So I like saying that more because I'm fighting for the community, not for anything else. And so when you talk about the relationship with the police department, I was only fighting, in response to the actions of a lot of the bad apples in the police department. Those good officers understand that. They just don't have the platform to share their voices because of rules in their contract. I've always had a good relationship with great police officers. I have family that are police officers. The superintendent of police, me and him, Eddie Johnson, we're great friends, right? Because those are officers that I can actually talk to that understand that you're Black, you got kids. So a lot of the problems that we're talking about, their family goes through. They went through, superintendent went through it, right? So we gotta work together to solve these problems and hold police accountable, but bridge the gap between community and police. I've always had a great relationship, and I look forward to working with them to enact some of these policies. And I believe, every day on the campaign trail, I see police officers. They shake my hand, white, Black, Hispanic, and they say, "We're with you, don't leave us behind." Because they understand the politics and the perception of the world. The perception is police officers don't like Jamal Green because he fought against the bad apples. But that's wrong, all right? The real truth is the the good apples in the police department want to be recognized, and they're tired of the bad apples only being looked at as, being generalized basically as the whole department being bad, when that's not true.
Well, although millennials make up a significant proportion of Chicago's population, the city is having problems drawing them to the polls. We'll have the numbers for the youth and young adult turnout from recent elections after the break.
Go you Northwestern, go Northwestern, break right through that. With our colors flying, we will cheer you all the go. Go you Northwestern, fight for the sweet victory, for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
At Northwestern, we're Wildcats in every way.
Will millennials turn out to vote is always a question that's on everybody's mind. In the 2015 mayoral elections, 12.2% of registered voters ages 18 to 24 cast their ballot, and 17.7% of registered voters ages 25 to 34 went to the polls. Dick Simpson, former Chicago alderman and current University of Chicago professor, says most young adults feel as though they need a specific reason to vote.
Often they think there's not much at stake in the election that affects their lives directly. They have other concerns, studies, jobs, just trying to pay off student debt. So it takes a clear appeal to things they think are important.
Obviously, Jamal, your age is a key factor that resonates with a lot of young people, but you know, they're also interested in your policies. So what are some of the things that you plan to do for millennials?
Yeah, so I kind of talked about a little today. You know, when it comes to the Triangle Initiative, I think that's going to be a very key piece for millennials because they will be able to do community service for nonprofits around the city of Chicago and get their college paid for or trade school or entrepreneurial boot camp. So I think that's going to be a key. But I think one of the most important things is making sure that they have a seat at the table, right? So one thing that I haven't released yet, but I give it exclusive to you, Gabrielle, is we want to have a youth committee that is representative of communities all across Chicago, right? And that youth committee will be able to work on different policies and ideas in all departments and be able to have a seat to meet with the administration once a month and talk about some things that young people want to see, millennials want to see around the city. So I think it's giving them a voice. It's those policy changes. Of course, they want accountability with the police department. Another one is when we talk about younger people, and I want to protect them from getting records. And so we have a program in place that will take those younger kids that will vandalize city property and have a program called YAS that will be in the middle of the city and the state's attorney to say, no, that's a minor offense. We'll take them in, and all you have to do is community service, or you got to clean that stop sign, or you have to go to this mentoring program for 6 months. A program to basically make sure that try to get kids back on the right path, but also hold parents accountable. So if YAS is triggered, then GAS, which is Guardian Accountability Service, is triggered. And if the kid got 10 hours, then the parent got to do 5 hours. So trying to bridge that family gap here that we have, that parenting struggle, and those young people that just want to get in trouble because they don't have the best homes, trying to bridge those. So we got programs for that too. I am running a campaign that is strictly for the people. And if the people sees fit and want to unify around this, then we need everybody to be proactive and get involved so that we can take City Hall. So they can go to greenforchicago.com to donate or to volunteer, and it's green like the color, FOR, Chicago.com. And I look forward to hearing some problems and solutions from residents all over the city. I look forward to knocking on doors with them. I'm just happy to be able to be a candidate, and I just know we got a long way to go, but it's gonna take the people, because it's up to us. That's what my slogan is. It's up to us, Gabriella. If we want to take City Hall, we want this to be for the people. We don't want these rich people to continue running this city and the corruption to end. We're the most corrupt city in America at the moment. It's gonna take the people to do it. It's up to us to unify and make it happen.
All right. Thank you so much, Jamal, for coming in.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right, the elections for mayor will be February 2019. Coming up next on Medill Newsmakers. 91 Americans die every day from opioid overdose. Holly Hondrick, we'll take a look at the epidemic next.